Welcome back to a special edition of ILTV's Weekly Review. Israel and the United States have begun operations inside of Iran in what is being dubbed Operation Roaring Lion. Developments are coming out every day, and we are here to keep you in the loop. Enjoy this special broadcast wrapping all of the top headlines from the past few days.
We have entered the third week of Operation Roaring Lion and Operation Epic Fury, which began with joint U.S. and Israeli strikes on the Islamic Republic of Iran. And on day 16, the war rages on, with Israeli officials now estimating it will take a few more weeks to conclude. There are dramatic developments as the United States and Israel continue striking and degrading the Iranian regime's capabilities while fighting to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. And as Israel continues to receive incoming missile fire throughout the country from both Iran and Lebanon. Meanwhile, the IDF released information marking 2 weeks of the operation and divulging that the Air Force carried out over 7,600 strikes in over 400 waves. About 4,700 strikes have been against the Iranian missile program alone. The army said thousands of terror operatives have been eliminated as well. It estimated between 4,000 and 5,000 Iranian soldiers had been neutralized, not to mention the senior leadership of the IRGC and the supreme leader himself. Meanwhile, the United States says it has struck over 6,000 targets and sunk dozens of Iranian Navy vessels. And on the northern front, is Israel heading towards war or towards a potential historic peace treaty with Lebanon that could include official recognition of the State of Israel? It's day 17 of the war with Iran. The IDF says the campaign against the Islamic regime being carried out with the United States is moving faster than expected, but will still take about 3 weeks of attacks. In the past 24 hours, the IDF hit some 200 western and central Iranian military sites. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz has the latest.
The IDF says Iran cannot currently produce new missiles after extensive strikes on its defense industry in central and western Iran, 200 in the past day alone. The IDF is preparing for at least 3 more weeks of operations, with thousands of additional targets still identified across Iran.
יש לנו תוכנית לחימה סדורה ומתוכננת היטב. יש לנו עוד אלפי מטרות באיראן, ואנחנו מייצרים מטרות נוספות מדי יום. המשטר כבר מוחלש, ואנחנו ממשיכים להחליש אותו יותר ויותר מדי יום.
The most recent targets included command centers that were manned by Iranian soldiers, air defense systems, and weapons storage and production sites. The IDF said it's expanding strikes across western and central Iran to systematically damage the regime's command and control capabilities. Footage released by the army shows UAV launch squads and missile teams fleeing struck sites, with Israeli aircraft tracking and eliminating the operatives in real time. The army says these operations are designed to reduce missile and drone fire toward Israel and continue non-stop to destroy the regime's ballistic missile and UAV infrastructure. The target of many strikes were command centers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the besieged paramilitary force. Officials say they are seeing signs of declining morale among Iranian forces as the strikes continue, but the army also cautions it's not its role to bring regime change.
כצבא אין לנו מטרה להפיל משטר, אנחנו לא מפילים משטר, אנחנו כן יוצרים את התנאים ומערערים אותו כדי שלאורך זמן העם האיראני ייקח את גורלו בידו ויקח אליו חזרה את המדינה הזאת שנלקחה כבת ערובה בידי משטר הטרור הזה.
IDF strikes in Iran are now expected to continue for another 3 weeks. The job is to destroy the threat to Israel. It will be up to the Iranian people to rise up and rid themselves of their tyrannical regime.
Turning to Iran, where overnight an IDF strike killed besieged paramilitary force commander Gholamreza Soleimani, Defense Minister Israel Katz says top Iranian official and Secretary of the National Security Council Ali Larijani was also targeted and killed. Earlier waves of Air Force attacks destroyed both the Iranian Navy Command Center as well as the Center for the Development of Satellite Attack Capabilities. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz has the latest.
The overnight strike killed the notorious Basij paramilitary force commander Gholamreza Soleimani and targeted other top figures in the Basij, which is known for violently suppressing anti-regime protests. The IDF confirms it also struck top Iranian official Ali Larijani in Tehran, but results are still being verified. Simultaneously, the military targeted top Palestinian Islamic Jihad leader Akram al-Ajuri and other senior figures with confirmation of casualties pending. On day 18 of the war with Iran, the IDF attacked and destroyed both the Iranian Naval Command Center as well as the Center for the Development of Satellite Attack Capabilities. The Army spokesman detailed specific strikes in Iran, illustrating the airstrike that hit Iran's Navy headquarters.
הטייסים והטייסות שלנו תוקפים ברחבי איראן כל הזמן. ביממה האחרונה פגענו במפקדת חיל הים של משמרות המהפכה. המשטר האיראני השתמש במפקדה הזו כדי להפוך את הזירה הימית לזירת טרור.
The IDF also confirmed the Israeli Air Force strike on the key Iranian Space Agency research site used to develop capabilities to attack satellites.
בתקיפה נוספת בלב טהרן פגענו והשמדנו מרכז לפיתוח יכולות תקיפת לוויינים. מרכז שהיווה איום על נכסי החלל והלוויינות של ישראל ושל כל העולם. במקביל אנחנו ממשיכים לתקוף את כוחות הבסיג', כוחות הדיכוי האיראנים.
Israel says its airstrikes across Iran target military and terror leaders, sending a clear warning that the campaign will continue until the threat is neutralized.
And joining us now with the latest on Operation Roaring Lion, now 3 weeks into the war, is Colonel Miri Eisen, Senior Fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism. Thank you so much for joining us.
As always, glad to be here.
So a lot of incredible accomplishments for the United States and for Israel. What is your assessment of the war now that it's entering its third week?
One of the things that happens after such a long time is that we feel as if it's stagnant. But that has to do just with the fact that, yes, you're tired, I'm tired. There are still those single missiles that Iran is managing to fire at Israel. But let's be clear. The Islamic regime over the last 3 weeks, we can see the clear deterioration in the sense that they cannot fire the rockets that they want to. The numbers are down. That has to do with the actions taken by the Israeli Defense Forces, by the U.S. forces, against launchers, against the different sites. We're hearing more and more about people deserting their different sites because they understand that they are going to be attacked. If a missile launcher is used against us, that immediately puts off that kind of footage that you're showing right now. Afterwards, they're going to go and attack that launcher. So it's taking it step by step. It takes a really long breath to be able to withstand all of this, but I do see that we are doing in such a way much better than before, and it is having a long-term effect.
Now, we heard from U.S. President Donald Trump, who said recently that Israel and the United States have different objectives in the war. It's really the first time we've heard any kind of hint at sort of a potential daylight or different sort of objectives in this war between Washington and Jerusalem. At the same time, Trump said the war would continue as long as necessary. I mean, what do you make of this?
To me, from the beginning, we always have to remember, and Lidar, I think sometimes we forget this, the United States of America is a world power. The United States of America has a military unlike any other. Yes, we're Israel, we're certainly a regional power, and we've shown enormous capabilities over these last 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. But when we talk about it at the end, the United States is looking at the entire world. We're looking right now at Israel within our borders. We are being attacked directly, cross-border attacks from Hezbollah and Lebanon into Israel. We are directly being attacked by the Islamic regime from Iran into Israel. So that's always going to have that difference, and I don't see it as a bad thing. The United States is the world power. They are the lead in that sense. What's happening in the Straits of Hormuz absolutely impacts the entire world economy, not just Israel. We are much more disturbed about our existential threats, the Islamic regime and its continuity, and Hezbollah holding all of those weapons that they received from the Islamic regime of Iran and using them against us.
And so let's talk a little bit about the capabilities today of the Islamic regime and of Hezbollah. I mean, what is the status of the regime's capabilities? Because, you know, we keep hearing it's being degraded. As you said, it's taking time. Yet we are still seeing this missile fire into Israel. Maybe not as dramatic on such a grand scale enough, you know, but still enough to send millions into bomb shelters.
So nobody wants to have statistics, but at the end, statistics matter. Why? Because they still have, let's say, hundreds, maybe even thousands of missiles left, not launchers. They've been attacking the launchers, but they still probably have some 100 launchers left. That means that with a launcher, they can fire one at 2:30 a.m. and at 5:30 a.m. and at 10:30 a.m. That's only 3 out of the 100 launchers out of the 1,000 missiles, which means it gives them a very long capability to do this extensively. It's the term that we call attrition war. Israel certainly wants to avoid that. There's a difference between the attrition war, which is what Iran would like to be at, and between the fact that they're always going to have a few missiles left. We want to be sure that they can't use them one by one whenever they want. You attack the launchers, you go after them. So yes, they have capabilities. It's not large numbers, but because of the way that they're pacing them, they can use them for quite a long time.
Now, do you see an end to this war in sight? You know, a lot of people are talking about an exit strategy. Is there an exit strategy? Isn't there? In your opinion, is there a clear exit strategy or an end to this war in sight?
When you start a campaign, you don't necessarily know exactly when it ends. There's the other side, and look at what the other side did. Iran, yes, absolutely, we attacked their military targets, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, all of the places that they were preparing for the proxies and for themselves, the annihilation, destruction of the state of Israel. But what Iran did is went and attacked everywhere, Lidar. I mean, they've attacked Oman and Bahrain, United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, Iraq and Jordan, Turkey, Cyprus, Azerbaijan. Every time I say all of these places, Iran chose to attack them. I don't know that anybody before this started thought that Iran's response would be to attack all of the countries in the greater Middle East and beyond. And that immediately means that this war doesn't look the exact same as when you started it. You're still targeting the same targets. That aim is the same. From the beginning, I've questioned the capability of the air campaign, which is what's being done for the change of regime, but I still think that that is absolutely a goal. I just don't think it can be achieved by the air campaign. What the air campaign does is it greatly weakens the central government, their capability to rule, their capability to send out those internal police that murdered 30,000 people at the end of December and during January in protests against them. So again, one stage at a time. We want it to be clear end game. I think that the military targets are clear. I think that the change of regime is something that not only takes time, but you don't do it from an air campaign. You hope that they have the oomph, they have the capability to do it from within.
And I want to pivot now to talk about Lebanon and Iran's terror proxy, Hezbollah. You know, there's a lot of talk about what's happening there. Do you think Israel is heading towards war with Lebanon, towards a ground invasion? Or are we heading towards a historic peace treaty?
One of the interesting things on coming here on a Sunday is that it could be either. Right now, Hezbollah is hand in hand with its patron, with the one that gives it its ideology, its training, its weapons, and that is the Islamic regime. They chose, again, just like Iran chose to go and attack dozen different countries that have nothing to do with what's going on right now, Hezbollah chose to attack Israel. Hezbollah made a clear choice when they did that, Lidar. They said, we are going with the Islamic regime of Iran and not with Lebanon, the country that we live in, that we're born in, the Arabic that we speak. Lebanon as a country, their own leadership have spoken out clearly and said what Hezbollah is doing is not just against the law, they outlawed them. They've actually had quite clear voices against Hezbollah. That's why you have both the opening for dialogue. The president of Lebanon, as you can see, spoke openly and said, I'm willing to sit down at the table, willing to talk with the Israelis. Yes, he wants us to immediately stop fighting. But that's the opening to something that we haven't ever heard from a Lebanese president. But hand in hand, what am I supposed to say right now to my friends who live up on the northern border, who are being attacked as we speak by Hezbollah rockets, all of them arriving from Iran, and the Lebanese don't do anything against that. So there's talk and there's hope. I really hope that we go forward with this dialogue, but we can't stop right now defending the north against this threat of Hezbollah.
Absolutely. So still a lot of threats remain. The war continues. but it's looking good. Colonel Mary Eisen, thank you so much for joining us and for your analysis today.
Thank you so much.
And not just Iran. On the northern front, Israel is intensifying its campaign against Hezbollah, with airstrikes targeting the terrorist assets all over Lebanon, while expanding ground operations in southern Lebanon. The IDF has reportedly readied plans for a major ground incursion up to the Litani River. Devo Klein has the details.
The IDF continued intensive airstrikes across Lebanon over the past day, hitting Hezbollah rocket launchers, weapons depots, and command sites. Some targets were even ready for immediate attacks on Israeli communities. Ground troops have stepped up operations, killing dozens of Hezbollah operatives in targeted raids and destroying infrastructure, including weapons depots, command centers, and observation posts along the border. Despite heavy losses, Hezbollah is estimated to still retain about 20% of its pre-war capabilities, including precision rockets and thousands of short-range rockets aimed at northern Israel.
חיזבאללה מרגיש את נחת זרוענו, ועוד ירגיש אותה ביתר שאת, הוא ישלם מחיר כבד מאוד על תוקפנותו.
The IDF has reportedly readied a major ground offensive south of the Litani River, aimed at pushing Hezbollah further away from the border and destroying tunnel networks and weapons depots in an operation likely to mirror the campaign in Gaza.
אני הזהרתי את נשיא לבנון שאם ממשלת לבנון לא יודעת לשלוט על השטח ולמנוע מהחיזבאללה לאיים על יישובי הצפון ולירות לעבר ישראל, אנחנו ניקח את השטח ונעשה את זה בעצמנו. ראש הממשלה ואני הנחינו את צה"ל להיערך להרחבת פעילות צה"ל בלבנון ולהשבת השקט והביטחון ליישובי הצפון.
Welcome back to ILTV News. 2 people have been killed in last night's attack on central Israel. Multiple waves of ballistic missiles have been fired by the Islamic regime, sending thousands into shelters overnight and leaving massive amounts of damage across multiple impact sites. This afternoon, another wave of ballistic missiles was fired, with several impact sites reported in Petah Tikva, injuring 3 additional people. State of Israel also reported that 3 private planes had been damaged at Ben Gurion Airport in the recent strikes. Reporting from Ramat Gan, where a missile impact turned tragically fatal, is our ILTV correspondent, Devo Klein.
Hey, Emily, I'm standing here in central Israel at the sites of one of the hits of last night's massive barrage of ballistic missiles from the Islamic Republic. As you can see behind me, there's cranes that are working to clear up the rubble. I was here just a few minutes ago, and a chunk of the porch that had been hit from this barrage has actually crumbled down. It was a huge scene. There's a lot of cameras here trying to capture the moments. As you can see, also Israeli and American flags. They've been draped all over the city as well. Just a reminder to the people to stay strong, to stay united. Unfortunately, the apartment behind me was a hit last night that unfortunately killed a couple in their 70s. The reports right now are indicating that the couple was attempting to run to their shelter, and they didn't make it. They missed it, and the missile hit them and unfortunately killed them. May their memories be a blessing. Right now, there is wreckage, there is carnage, and they're just trying to clear up the rubble. We've been hearing that an IDF official might be on his way to the scene right now. We're going to try and speak to him, but as of right now, there's police presence, there's news presence, and everybody's just trying to get a glimpse at the tragic site that killed an elderly couple. Fire erupted across central Israel following the incoming missiles last night. An impact in Holon, Israel, left rubble and fragments scattered across the neighborhood, the missile causing a fire upon impact. This video taken in Petah Tikva, where a fragment fell on a residential building and ignited a car parked in the lot. But the most tragic was the death of Yaron and Ilana Moshe in Ramat Gan, Israel, raising the death toll from missiles from 9 to 11. Now, Emily, this was not the only site of impact from last night's barrage. We had quite a few sirens, red alerts going off in central Israel last night. There were a few points of impact. Obviously, we're talking about the ballistic missiles sent over by the Islamic Republic, the cluster munitions. What's happening is that the aerial air defense, they're intercepting them in the sky, and then there's smaller fragments that are kind of separating from the missile, and so there's more impact sites. There's less damages, but this is the first time, Emily, that we've seen a death coming from these incoming barrages. The last deaths that we've had, the highest death toll so far was in Beit Shemesh. 9 people have died, and now we're seeing 2 more, an elderly couple in their 70s, unfortunately passing away from last night's barrage of missiles.
And now we close our show today with an amusing story. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who many believed was assassinated in the war with Iran, is not only alive, but he's posted a comical video to his social media debunking the rumors once and for all. ILTV's Devo Klein has the report.
Was Prime Minister Netanyahu killed in an Iranian ballistic missile strike? That's certainly what Bibi haters were hoping to hear, but now this video is proving otherwise.
מה שאלת אותי?
ראש הממשלה אומרים ברשת שאתה בכלל מת?
אני מת על קפה, אתה יודע מה? אני מת על העם שלי. איך הם מתנהגים, פנטסטי. אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות?
אתה יכול להראות לנו?
פה.
Netanyahu was responding, of course, to claims online that he had 6 fingers in his latest address, meaning he must be dead and the video is AI generated. But that wasn't enough, as now rumors are suggesting that the coffee shop video itself was made using AI. The truth is, the Prime Minister is not only alive, but managing a joint Israeli-American war on the Islamic regime in Iran. He's taking an active role on the home front and encouraging the people of Israel every day.
לצאת להתאוורר, אבל ליד מרחב מוגן. והעמידה שלכם היא מדהימה, נותנת כוח לי, לממשלה, לצה"ל, למוסד. אנחנו עושים דברים שאני לא יכול לשתף ברגע זה, אבל עושים דברים מכים באיראן חזק מאוד, גם ביום הזה, גם בלבנון, ממשיכים. אתם אומרים לי להמשיך? אני אומר לכולכם, גם אתם תמשיכו. תמשיכו להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, כל הזמן, להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, וגם לראשי הערים, להיות תמיד ליד מרחב מוגן. ואנחנו נקל ככל שהדבר ניתן. ותודה לך על הקפה, הוא מצוין. אני לא יודע לגבי הקלוריות, זה נראה לי מסוכן מאוד.
Alive and well and drinking coffee.
And that is all we have for you for this edition of ILTV's Weekly Review. I hope all of our viewers are staying safe during this time, and we will see you again next week.